Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, check out play Sonic Adventure 2 Part 3. We are now in the Metal Harbor Zone after rescuing Sonic from the gun prison on Prison Island. We are now running through Prison Island, trying to find Robotnik and the Black Hedgehog. Alright, so, as you can see, there are lines of rings, and we do get the speed dash power-up right up the road here. But we don't get it immediately. And the golden gun beetle was back behind me, to the left, over there. Light shoes, light dash to move at light speed along path of rings. Action window will appear, and you just hit the circle button. He's supposed to be saying something, but that's interesting. Sometimes it will glitch and he won't say anything. Every once in a while, you will gain score for doing tricks like that, or jumping on bars, or grinding down rails like in City Escape, and sometimes rolling under barriers like this will gain you additional score. But as I was saying in part 2, the different amounts of score that you need to get A rank depend on the amount of enemies in a level and how hard the level is. The further you go in the game, usually the more score you have to get A rank. That usually can applies to Sonic, Tails, and Robotnik's levels, because there's more enemies in those levels. And this really isn't a good tactic to use. But if you want to get up to the top and a little bit higher than this, because there's a whole other section up at the top. If you can see the rings there by the rocket, there's a upper section where you can get a Phoenix, and you can get more score. And you can also jump off of this early too, just by hitting the jump button repeatedly. And you can come back for all of these rings, so don't worry about missing them. Of course, it is easier if you can get them, but if you miss them, you know, you don't have to worry about it. You can just run back up here, spin dash, back up the pipe, or you can either run or continuously jump, kind of like this, and this will help you go faster. But yeah, usually at the later levels with Tails and Robotnik, you'll have to get a higher score, close to 30,000 sometimes, to get it, because there are more enemies and they expect you to get a 2,000 a lot every time well, they expect you to lock onto multiple enemies, so you have to use that to your advantage and be able to gain additional score to help you get the A rank. As you can see, I did get a D. For Sonic and Shadow, usually it depends on your time. Well, I messed that up. Usually with Sonic and Shadow's levels, it involves end time, while also any score you can get in the levels. Alright, so usually with this boss fight, don't homing attack him. All you have to do is just wait for him to stop, and then just roll into him, a somersault into him from the rear. If you do it from the front, he will always dodge you and try to homing attack you.
Shadow, what are you doing? Hurry and get back here right now before the island blows up with you on it. Blows up?
Alright, so the island blowing up is actually in the Dark Side story, so I won't spoil that for you. But this is the first of 2 levels that actually force you to run through a level as fast as within a time limit. But they give you plenty of time, so you don't have to worry about that. Even with all of the gun robots slowing you down, very easy to do. But as you can see, I used the light speed dash to gain some extra score by doing a trick, and it didn't slow me down too much. So you can use that to your advantage if you are trying to go after an A rank. Especially on this level, there are several sections where you can use the light speed dash and jump onto a rail, and it will help you out a lot. Oh, I missed that one. But oh well. They are nice to go after the gun beetles, but most of the time they're not worth it going after. Now, one thing bad about in this game, that the homing attack with the light speed dash, is that it is kind of glitchy, and if you're not standing directly in front of ring, the command window won't pop up, and you won't be able to use it, and you'll most of the time just do a somersault instead of doing the homing attack. As you can see, not the homing attack, the light speed dash. As you just saw there, I tried to use the light speed dash, and all I ended up doing was a somersault. Now, Sonic does learn a bounce move, but that's later in the game, and that does help break boxes like that a lot quicker. So if you do need to break a lot of boxes, that will definitely help you, the bounce move. But as I said, we'll get it later in the game. And if you haven't noticed, I get different power-ups through the checkpoints. And that is all dependent on how many rings you have. If you have over 100, you'll gain one of 2 shields, the normal green shield and the lightning shield. Any lower than that, you'll just gain ring boxes. Ouch. Oh, that sucks. Oh, there you go. I believe if you have a electric shield, they'll give you electric shield, but if you don't have one, you'll only get the original shield, or the normal shield. As you can see, you can crouch to gain speed while grinding on rails. That's very helpful. Crap. Oh, I most of the time do that. Now, these platforms, I believe, will fall out from underneath you. Come on. And most of the time, it ain't really worth it to use the homing attack, or light speed dash. But, as you can see, if you do die, you do lose all of your score and all of your rings, of course. And I do it with no rings, but
Yes!
yeah, so there you go. This isn't gonna be a good score. I'll be surprised if it isn't an E. No, it's a D.
No problem.
So that means the A rank score isn't too high if I get a 9,500 and I get a D, so that's pretty easy one to go after.